No, KYC Bitcoin is the real Bitcoin. Whenever I say Bitcoin, I mean KYC free. If you look, Sailor now has over 500,000 Bitcoin. I mean, Coinbase has them, but Sailor has IOU. All we need is North Korean hackers to hack Coinbase, and suddenly that Bitcoin becomes no KYC. If Bitcoin is just this treasury asset that makes rich people richer, then we have failed. I think that's one of the geniuses of Satoshi. There will forever be more. No longer is your point to expand your freedom. The point is now that you help others expand their own freedoms.
What is real? How do you define real?
You can't jump into cash. Cash is trash. What do? You get out.
It's not every day that we have a legendary live shadowy supercoder up in the house, complete with incognito screen gear here. Uncle Rockstar developer, aka Uncle Bitcoin, a core contributor, a philosopher, cypherpunk, and unifier. Uncle Rockstar Dev, welcome to the Bitcoin Matrix podcast, sir. How are you?
Thank you, Cedric. I'm good. I'm excited for what's to happen in the next hour or two, depending on how long we go.
Sure. Last time we talked, we were actually talking offline, about an opportunity that you were kind of interviewing me for, which was pretty cool. And we got to know each other quite a bit then. So I'm really excited to talk. I guess I would love to hear about like maybe your life before Bitcoin, or, what that was like, as much as you can share, obviously.
Absolutely. And then we get all the way to the interview that happened a few months ago. That's quite interesting how life works. Well, how do I start this in the best way? Maybe the genesis of Uncle Rockstar identity is now 8 years ago. Nicholas Dorier was starting BTCPay server, and it started really, really well. I was at the point of my life where I was a bit done with doing all these regular jobs, like coding jobs. And I was also done with just being anonymous troll on Bitcoin forums and online places like Reddit, because it was, as we all know, 2017 block size wars, and the conflict was at its highest. The people that were your friends yesterday, they would become your enemies of tomorrow, and I was sick of it. So I was looking for a change, and then I started thinking, what can I do? How can I contribute to Bitcoin in a better way than arguing with people on Reddit and Bitcoin Talk? And it dawned on me, like, I can code. Let me look for a project to which I can contribute. And I saw what Nicholas is doing with BTCPay server, so I started working together with him and created a Twitter account. Back then, we called it Twitter Kids back then. And over the years, identity has really solidified. Like, since I had so much opportunity with BTCPay server, we did a great job there. Jack Mallers pitched me on. He was like, "Uncle, join me. I have this startup that I want to turn my Ellen Zap open source project into startup." Startup became Strike. 4 years there. I left in 2023, and then last 2 years I've been mostly doing, again, FOSS, free and open source software, consulting, advising VC firms. One of those VC firms is Lightning Ventures, Shout out to Muzz, Mike Yarmaz, and me and Mike partnered up on a project that became like too big for us to handle, Cedric. We needed, your expertise and skills, and that's how we ended up in that call. And now this call, so we can talk about our experiences on a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Yarma is one of, I think, both of our favorite person in Bitcoin. He introduced us to each other. I'm thankful for that and for the opportunities Muzz has given me. I'm curious, when you kind of got started with Bitcoin or BTCPay server as a coder, did you understand Bitcoin at that point as anything more than technology and software, as maybe money?
Yeah, I got into Bitcoin in 2012, around 2012. And even back then, like I was doubting Bitcoin. It took until 2014, about 2 years, when I saw that members of Congress have Bitcoin. I was like, okay, this now can't be stopped. They'll just take us on a ride to moon based on their own greed, and self-interest. But for me, Bitcoin has always been an ideological thing. Because I grew up in hyperinflation, and as a kid, I had this crazy dreams that I will become a president of my country, and then I will help ensure that exchange rate of our local currency is 1-to-1 with US dollar. So it's kind of weird, right? To be fascinated with that. And I was thinking about that because our local currency every day would inflate by 200-300,000%. And as a kid, you struggle to understand how that even works. You think money is backed by gold or something. As I was growing up, I also discovered cypherpunks and their philosophy, so that electronic peer-to-peer cash was one of the holy grails of cypherpunk movement. So by the time Bitcoin happened, I had a very solid foundation, and I was like, okay, I understand why this will be successful. But back then also I doubted it a little bit. I was like, governments will see this and they will kill it. Little did I know that, that there was a plan for that, and it's called greed and self-interest. So yeah.
What was it like working on BTCPay server? I mean, I know you from your X or your Twitter profile long before we met, and I would see pictures of, sort of BTCPay server, either events or just, from a conference where they all gathered, and then there'd be this like large group, and there would be one or two individuals who were sort of blurred out or had sort of privacy gear on. What was it like working on BTCPay server?
I mean, it's been amazing. It's still amazing, man. I am blessed to be working with these people, right? So there's like a huge crew, and whenever we gather, there is that sense of, you're part of something greater than yourself, right? So I'm gonna shamelessly promote the event that we had in Riga. So yeah, there we go. Because I think everyone is actually looking for that, that you're part of something greater than yourself, right? So for me, being part of this team crew and contributing over and over, like, and improving BTCPay server, it's absolutely amazing. Now, when I first started, it was just me and Nicholas mostly, right? So it was way more personal relationship. Like every evening, him and me would be on chat and talk about the code and how to improve it. But then over the time, more people join, and then each person brings their own unique flair to the group. and it's just amazing. I mean, I would highly recommend anyone that's looking to start their Bitcoin or Nostr or any kind of freedom tech contribution to look for these groups. And obviously, I'm subjective. I'll say, look for a way to join BTCPay server, but really any project that 80% aligns with your interests, like, look to join a group of people, because I don't think most of us are meant to start, their own new project. Like if you're great like Cedric, yeah, start a podcast. He's doing great on X, on social media, but only he knows how much work it is to keep that presence, especially now that Elon is redirecting all the attention to whatever he is interested in. So it's working in BTC Pay is great. If you're looking to do the same, find your group.
Maybe, can you tell me more about BTCPay server? Like, I mean, obviously it's grown a lot. How's it being used? Where is it being used? I watched the documentary. It was being used in Nashville, but maybe, can you tell me a little bit more about how it's being used?
Yeah, it's been used in all kinds of different ways, because it became this platform. Really, BTC Pay server origin story is there was this company, and still is, called BitPay. And BitPay was one of the most popular payment processors back in 2016, 2017. But once 2017 came, they chose to be on the, not only chose, they were one of the leaders of the whole big block movement. And at one point, they published this article essentially lying, saying that there is this upgrade to Bitcoin and all the merchants will be switched to this upgrade. The upgrade in question was Segwit 2X. And that really upset Nicholas Dorier, because he was one of the biggest promoters of BitPay. All of his friends, the companies he knew, that when they would ask, how do I accept Bitcoin, he would say, go on BitPay. So he felt personally obligated. It sounds weird in this day and age, morals, like what's that? But he felt obligation because he was now guilty of getting people on BitPay. He was obliged to offer them an alternative. And he posted that legendary, BitPay posted basically like, we're upgrading all the merchants to Segwit 2X. And then Nicholas responded with, this is lies. My trust in you is broken. I will make you obsolete. And started coding BTCPay servers. So 2 months later, he had this plug and play replacement, and BTCPay server became one of the most loved projects, Bitcoin projects in space, because back then there weren't tons of Bitcoin open source projects on X. So it started as a payment processor, but over the years we made it into this platform where now different Bitcoin companies are developing plugins. And you install a plugin from, say, Bolts. Now your BTCPay server can receive Lightning payments and automatically swap in Liquid, or it can accept Liquid payments and then do a swap on Lightning. So Cashew plugin is coming up for eCash. There is a little bit buzz now happening online. So it's really now a platform. And finally, I jokingly say BTCPay server is really a Tinder for Bitcoiners. People join the community, then they find their kind of match, start working together with others. So yeah, it's really an interesting project.
Yeah, and it seems like it was born a little bit out of the block size wars. Do you think the block size wars are settled once and for all?
I think block size wars with the people that were on big block size and all that, yeah, it's settled. It's, you literally just look at proof of work mining hash rate on BCH, and then you look at the BTC and you see it's over. However, I think I always said the block size wars weren't about block size; they were about who tells who what to do. And I think with ordinals, with Solana people now being welcomed in Bitcoin, with Ethereum exploding and all of that, we will still see that type of conflict and wars because humans are naturally predisposed to like create hierarchical structure and then climb them, which is kind of pointless in Bitcoin, but that will not prevent anyone. People will still want to be, the Bitcoin Jesus or whatever. And then instead of staying humble and stacking sats, they will try to stack reputation and tell other people what to do.
What do you think about the base layer and ossification? And how do you think we should ossify? Are we close to ossifying? Or we should be a little bit more wide open? And maybe there's still some things we still have to figure out.
Yeah, that's why on previous question I don't think block size wars in a sense of is the current size of blocks in Bitcoin fixed. Like I don't think that's the case. There will either be an increase in block size or decrease, and for me, if the block size stays the same, I'm fine with that. But I see a lot of people on either sides of that debate. And then when it comes to ossification, I mean, I personally...
Hey, Bitcoiners, I'm heading to Bitcoin 2025 in Las Vegas from May 27th to May 29th, and you need to be there. This isn't just another conference. It's the ultimate Bitcoin party. Grab your ticket now using promo code MATRIX or at the link in the description. See you in Vegas, freaks. Let's make this one legendary.
I would love if we go in that direction. If we're like, okay, we have now more than 15 years of all the different experiences and approaches and proposals and whatnot. I think to anyone who is intellectually honest, it's quite clear that Bitcoin is for payments. Like if Bitcoin is just this treasury asset that makes rich people richer, then we have failed. We need to be able to send Bitcoin across the world instantly. Like that's the killer use case. And I like to say sats must flow. They must flow from those who have more sats to those who have less. And only by doing that, we will grow Bitcoin, the movement. Truly. So I would like us to go in ossification direction where we clearly state that Bitcoin is for payments and simplify it for that. That would be my personal recommendation. Now, will that happen? I don't know. I mean, ordinals are obviously well funded, and they will continue to be well funded because block space is such a desired commodity that it's just going to become more precious in the future. And vanity is one of the most powerful sins. So people will want to inscribe something in blocks. So all this is to say, like, I don't know. I would love us to go in direction of ossification, monetary maximalism, but right now it's pretty indeterminate. Like, what will happen with that even a year from now, let alone like 10 or 20?
Yeah, I would like to see even smaller blocks, leaving just room for pure monetary transactions.
Yeah, but I don't think that's happening, especially because one of the most vocal people on that is Luke Dash Jr. The way things are right now in Bitcoin is whatever Luke wants, everyone else is just like, no, we'll do the opposite. But yeah, if we got to the point where it's purely monetary transactions, I can see reduction in block size, but I don't think it's happening.
You bring up Luke. I've had Luke on the show. We'll get into maybe Ocean and block template creation as well. But is there like a little camaraderie between core contributors in the way that people assume there's a lot of camaraderie between every Bitcoin podcaster just because of the we have the host title? Is there camaraderie between other you and core contributors? Do you get each other a little bit better?
I mean, between core contributors, it's exactly the same type of camaraderie as with Bitcoin podcasters. 100%, maybe even more. No, I don't know. I mean, I am not Bitcoin core contributor. Considering my network in Bitcoin, yeah, I do know all the Bitcoin core contributors, and then with Luke, I just love my relationship with Luke. In in my previous identity that was online, like him and me were arguing a lot, but ever since we now had our uh, times at conferences or the events he invited me to, man, it's just amazing. Like I definitely see Luke as a comrade in Bitcoin, and he has these in Lugano. He had this like thing when he would tap me on the shoulder, I would turn, and he was on the other side, so he got me, and we played chess in Atlanta. But no, I think that's actually quite specific in Bitcoin. You're right that if you're in a certain group of people, like podcasters, then there is maybe some kind of competition between within the group. And with developers, I can tell you it's the same. I try not to go in that direction because there is so much work to do. But yeah, if someone is up for friendly competition, then let's go. Even if it's not friendly, as long as Bitcoin benefits in the end, we are good. And yeah, that's my stance on that.
What about privacy, especially privacy as a developer or coder? How do you manage it? What is your take on privacy? You obviously go to great lengths. That means, do you like wearing a bandana in public? Is that comfortable? Um,
No, I love my privacy, man. I've long struggled on how to stand publicly for things I believe in, but then how to not give away certain parts of myself because we're only given one face, right? And we can do plastic surgeries and all that, but who has time for that and to recover? So yeah, I look at it from the perspective that privacy will be one of the most valuable things that you can own. Because if we have this recording now and it's going to go public and my voice is no longer my own. AI can process it and make me say whatever, right? But at least my face is mine and my likeness. So I keep that for myself. As to now how hard it is, once I got the setup going, it's not that hard. It's just, and I do start to like it, man. I can, change the mask. I can go from black to white. There is different suits to experiment with. And I think a lot of people would like it if they invested time and effort into it, because I 100% know that there are so many identities in each one of us. We are not the same people at work and in our private life. At work, you need to someone is paying you, you can have your opinion, but there comes a time where someone literally forces you to do things. And it's not you, it's this business person that now has to respond to demands. So I think, again, a lot of people understand the concept. It's just they're like, well, Rockstar, I will not wear a mask on, 100 degrees weather. And I got used to it, and I like it, man. And I encourage anyone else, like if anyone is coming to a conference and wants to be a rock star, I'll give you a hat and mask and sunglasses. I'm actually surprised that people are not already doing it, because they would get into those VIP parties and speaker events. They just need to show up with a set.
Yeah, I wonder how much of it is ego, that when people, they want to be recognized not for their work, but also have their face be, so their likeness be attached to that recognition. I wonder, have you, I wonder if you struggle with that, or have you met Gigi in person?
I mean, me and Gigi are brothers. So we talked about this a lot. I always told him that his whole green suit setup is this is insane, man. I couldn't be able to do that one because it has a zipper on the back. So when you're doing it, you really need to be ready for that. So I don't know if I should show a picture here. I'll send you a picture and then you can decide whether to insert it in this part of podcast. But yeah, ego is a big part of it. You just like being you. I see that in people when we were talking about business persona. When business person gets out of that suit, tie, and all of that, and they relax, they can wear whatever, like something loose and comfortable. I mean, suits, you develop a taste for them, so you may love wearing suits. But if you're wearing tie and everything needs to be perfect, it's a straight jacket, man. It's a prison. So yeah, it's just, how do you like to present yourself? Because it works the other way as well. I got accused I have a huge ego. Like, why do I wear a mask? Like, why don't you unmask yourself like normal people? So yeah, ego plays a huge part in how do we choose to present ourselves, whether wearing mask or not.
Yeah, for sure. I got to meet Gigi a couple of times. The first time I was coming down to the hotel lobby, and I was at a table with, I think, Ali Haman from Tahini's, and my wife was like, "That's Gigi," and it was like literally like standing right behind me, and I was like, "Seriously?" And I almost didn't want to ask him because I didn't want to like infringe. And then I was like, "Ali, is that really Gigi?" He's like, "Yeah." So he'd been on the show already. I introduced myself. It was great to meet him. It's a thrill when someone reveals themselves to you. And I got to he offered to take a picture. He was taking some pictures with people. I didn't want that responsibility on my camera. So I took a picture with the air, and I have that as my Gigi picture. He took the picture for me, my picture with Gigi. But I would think, though, I mean, you wrote this on Twitter. For years, you've been mistreated and ridiculed by some on the basis of you don't use your real name. And now we're in the they fight you stage. And, we've seen this with some things that are not even directly Bitcoin related, even tangential, just in terms of software coding and the attempt at some of these futile attempts at decentralization, maybe in these other projects. But this is serious. I mean, people's lives are in danger on some of these projects. I mean, look at someone like Ross Ulbricht. So like there is a very serious side of this. What do you?
I think it's a serious side for everyone. Like, you look at this generation that's growing up in the age of cameras and recordings, and whether you want or not, you're ending up in other people's pictures. Like if you walk through a public place that's even semi-popular, someone will catch you on camera, your likeness, your identity. And I like also to say that either you control information or information controls you. So we all have a digital footprint. And then, as you well said, if you took that picture with Gigi unmasked, now, if you're a moral person, again, you feel a sense of responsibility that you do not impact negatively someone else's identity. Like, do no harm. And this is what, again, will become more and more challenging the more and more we develop technology, because we're already at the point, like, if there are 3 pictures of you online, you can be, any kind of picture with you can be created. And I don't know if you saw, it's like a big problem in South Korea, where female students are struggling because some jerks take 3 of their photos and they create videos of them not only naked but doing certain perverse stuff, and then that's shared in Telegram channels, and it's there for life. And now, good luck to you, young lady, explaining that it's not you. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I almost it wasn't. I knew I'd be able to handle the responsibility morally, but it was also it's nice to almost. I don't have the picture to look at and remember what Gigi looks like in my mind. That's almost faded, and when I meet him again, he'll look different. He'll be different, and it's kind of an interesting thing. What do you think of
humanity?
Yeah. Yeah, instead of taking a piece of him with me, just leave him there and I'll visit him when I see him. What do you think of Satoshi, maybe as a coder?
I mean, as a coder, he was okay coder. As a thinker, like, absolute genius. I mean, I would love to know Satoshi's identity just to congratulate him, but the more I think about my fascination with Satoshi, the more I understand it's what you say. It's my own ego of wanting a piece of Satoshi in my life. And the whole story is also beautiful, that you are able to create the best money humanity has ever created, and that you can actually walk away from that. It takes an amazing person to be able to do that. And yeah, I'm fascinated by Satoshi and the way he has set up his identity and then done the work, okay, walked away.
I mean, I wonder a lot about, like, Bitcoin has done a lot for a lot of people, even if you look at it just through the vein of financial freedom. Maybe some people are able to get rid of the golden handcuffs, and get their time back. And I always wonder, like, what it would be like if Satoshi didn't come into Bitcoin, the project, with wealth, created Bitcoin, the project, and walked away and didn't have the ability to access the wealth he created, even in the sense of, like, maybe he has this, because we don't know if the million coins everyone thinks are his. We don't know. But let's say they're his, but we don't even know if there's another 300,000 coins that he siphoned off, and that's what he's living on today if he's alive. But to me, it would be, like, really a shame if he was alive and he was having a really hard time, like, maybe providing for his family, or for himself.
Satoshi is dead, so yeah. I mean, we don't even need to go to Satoshi. It's Hal Finney. His family has similar problems because people think that Hal Finney is Satoshi, and Hal is now also not with us, dead, but his family is continuously under barrage of, people are molesting them, like disturbing them, going like, hey, if I break into their house, I'll find Bitcoin. And how do you explain to a person, like, no, there is no Bitcoin there? This is, again, where it's one of my most fascinating topics from my interest in cypherpunks is information madness. Like, that's what I think Cypherpunk's so well defined in their writings is that there will, with this advent of technology, there will come time where we are generating so much information that significant percentage of population will not even know how to process it. So they will go insane, which is what you now see with all the name calling of, hey, this group of people are NPCs, or then they call someone else NPC. It's just because you wake up, you open your phone, and suddenly you're blasted with all kinds of information. And what I saw growing up, again, in hyperinflation and civil war, was for each person there exists a threshold. And if you blast them with enough information and you cross that threshold, you can literally make them do whatever. You know, you blast them with enough information, you turn a person into, oh, these people wearing masks, they're NPCs, haha, vaccinated people. Or the other way around, like what happened is Fauci and that crowd, they went and it's like, oh, dirty, unmasked people, let's, contain them, make sure that virus doesn't spread, because it's insane. And then, you're not wearing a mask on a plane, you're kicked off the flight. It doesn't matter that no one can persuade me that, if you're wearing that mask, oh, it's a big deal. And funny story, I had a flight during COVID where I had my Bitcoin mask, and the flight attendant was like, hey, sir, wear a mask. And I literally, I pulled up the mask and she was like, okay, it's good now. That mask is not filtering for anything, man. But, it turned into compliance mandate, and I guess we're all in this together. So yeah.
For a second, I was wondering if people would be thankful that we're all going to be wearing masks, especially privacy people, that masks would be accepted. Did you see that for a second?
I mean, now that you bring it up, yeah, that part I was excited, but what really rubbed me the wrong way was the whole compliance part of it. And then not only compliance, but that righteous zeal of doing the right thing, even if it doesn't make sense, because it was the whole PTSD from my childhood, young adulthood. Because when I see these types of situations, I now understand that it's like you can't vote harder. Like if system is broken, you can't fix it with empty small gestures. You need to build a better system. And then again, why I didn't make a big deal on airplane flights, it's like, okay, I understand in one side, like let's just get this over with. This is how we can travel. Okay, let's just pull the mask, get it done. But what's really gonna solve the problem, tons of problems we have, is just like we need to build the better systems. When BitPay did what they did with Segway 2X, there wasn't solution where like, oh, let's make them into good guys or do a small thing where they give us a parameter. It's like, no, you're against it. Okay, build a better system and let people non-violently transition to the better system. And again, this is where I see Bitcoin. That's why Bitcoin is so great. You can argue with people about politics or taxing the rich, or what is it called, Cedric? Like a pass down economy or
Trickle down economy?
Trickle down economy. Sorry, only immigrant American. Trickle down economy. But you personally, like, if you want to opt out of this crazy fiat world, buy Bitcoin, focus on you, your family, your loved ones, and that's it. Like, you're part of better system.
You mentioned Satoshi being dead. I can't let that go. You know that, or you're guessing? What makes you come to that conclusion so firmly?
Where is the mystery if we answer that question? We should leave it as that, especially because Satoshi, I think, pretty clearly expressed that he wants to be left alone. So Uncle already made enough infraction with saying that he's dead.
Okay, what if the United States government mentioned the other day they were going to do an audit to see how many coins they had. They're going to search all the hard drives, and come up with a few sats here and there.
Man, those coins are missing 100%. Like some agents, they were like, "Oh, I'll just take 100 Bitcoin."
But do you think there's any possibility, the United States government could find Satoshi's coins because they created Bitcoin?
No, man. U.S. government can't, figure out a way to stop sending, millions of dollars for, transgender rat research in Tanzania. Like, let alone there's a government coming together to do a project like Bitcoin. No, what happens in history, like you have geniuses like Leonardo da Vinci or I don't know, Einstein. They're simply these brilliant individuals that at certain point of time, like everything aligns, and then they produce works from which all the rest of us, like, we benefit. And I wish that for everyone, really. Like, and this is what I see when you were talking about Bitcoin is taking off, these chains. That's what Bitcoin has done for me. I immigrated to US, and obviously, as everyone else, I'm like, okay, I'm going to achieve American dream, become a millionaire, have all this money, crazy cars, women, whatever. But then it happens in the weirdest ways for me because I was busy with my Bitcoin contributions. But you get to the point where Bitcoin just frees you. And then, you're searching for yourself. You do party, you try different things. But the conclusion that I came to, and I think everyone comes to, is okay, you now have been freed. The point is not that you expand your freedom, because what does that even mean? I don't need to work for anyone or don't need to do anything that I don't want to do. So I already have maximum freedom. So the point is not for me to go like those Matrix creator brothers. Like what's their name? Do you know?
Lukowski? Well, the Lukowski
Yeah.
sisters now.
Sisters. Yeah. So if you read about what happened to them after Matrix, where they get lost in those sex dungeons of LA, trying all kinds of different stuff, it's just like you're already maximally free. So it no longer is your point to expand your freedom. The point is now that you help others expand their own freedoms. And that's how you will get to point in life where you're like much closer to the truth rather than trying to find it this way. So yeah.
Well, I'd love to hear more about what Bitcoin has done for you in sense of like you said, you've kind of gone through different levels of maybe obtaining freedom and the opportunity to obtain freedom for yourself. So you moved to America, and you could have been a software coder working at PayPal with the freedoms a lot of people would dream about, like you're saying. When did you know that Bitcoin was going to maybe give you that freedom, or maybe if you could just expand on what that freedom has meant to you?
Yeah, you bring up a great point. Like if you're a software engineer working at PayPal in Silicon Valley, the degree of freedom that you have is so much more than person outside of US, like a young student in Africa trying to just have enough to eat or, you know, be left alone because he's a part of some group that's hated by another group. But if you say that to any software engineer in PayPal in San Francisco, they were like, no, my freedom sucks. You know, our stock dropped so much. How will I go to my favorite vacation spot? So yeah, it's a spectrum. And for me, I can tell, like, as it was happening, I was oblivious to it. Most because I was busy with Strike, busy with BTCPay server, busy to get to conferences, and then in all that busyness, I just crashed, and then I took a look at my retirement accounts, and I was like, wait, what am I doing? Because especially if you contribute to Bitcoin will contribute to you. And it's gonna do that in all kinds of weird ways. I would never have my retirement accounts at the level they are now if Bitcoin hasn't connected me with people like you, Cedric, with people like Maz, with people like Nicholas, Elizabeth Stark, that photo that we have. Now it's one of those things, like, I'm glad I participated in that moment. So I can name hundreds of people that Bitcoin has connected me with, and now I see that and understand that as Bitcoin's contribution back to me. So I think that's why, especially people are in Bitcoin. Just, there's so many great people. Sure, we are now getting more scammers in because everyone is like, oh, I'm a Bitcoiner because I'm hoping Bitcoin goes to 1 million. But there are tons of great people as well. Find the people that speak to you and then figure out how you can create value together. Like, a lot of people are listening to your podcast, Cedric. So for them, you're an inspiration, or like they aspire to go in that direction. Then come to a conference where Cedric is attending and talking, figure out something to collaborate on together. And again, as you're doing that, you will get to the point where you understand, like, oh, I actually am free. So now I can focus on also helping others attain their freedom as much as I like. And then if sometimes it's stressful, or I think people are not giving back as much as I'm giving, then you step back. Don't take yourself as seriously and just go more towards enjoyment rather than financial outcome.
You know, speaking sort of like maybe collaboration and enjoyment, and maybe, you know, hoping for the best with financial outcome, but maybe doing it for more than other reasons. You've famously been a part of some really successful startups, from BTCPay server to Strike to everything you've been involved with Muzz over at Lightning Ventures. So what has that experience have been like for you, you know, working in startups? I'm sure sometimes you're like, it's gotta be, you're a hired gun, and it's like, go do these things. And sometimes you get to be a visionary maybe. But, you know, I think one of the things you mentioned to me, and I've seen you tweet about, is that, you know, one of the biggest obstacles to growth that you've seen in people is that they make everything about themselves. And I'm sure that's rampant maybe in startup land.
Well, I mean, people are climbing that imaginary ladder. I guess in companies, it's not as imaginary. It's pretty clear, especially when you hire HR people. They love to draw those. They're like, okay, you're here. And you're like, well, I'm working with these people as well. They're like, no. You're here, and I'm your manager, so you listen to me. No, I've realized that one of my skills is recognizing that certain people will grow. Let's put it that way, because I've also, what BTCPay server has helped me realize is I'm not motivated by tasks, I'm motivated by people. So if I have to do something for you, Cedric, I will be like, okay, I promised I will be at this time in this place. I said it to Cedric, so I'll show up 10 minutes early. If I told myself, hey, I gotta code this at 2 p.m. and I need to code it in 1 hour, there's 90% of chance like I won't do it, because we all hate ourselves the most. So when I realized I'm motivated by people and not by tasks, that's where I really, again, for Bitcoin, I started searching who are the people with whom I would work. Nicholas, great. I knew that whatever I do, Nicholas will be successful because he's on a mission. With Jack Mallers, I don't think only to me, it was obvious to a lot of people that he will be successful. It's just he has this problem. He doesn't know where to hire engineers. That's where I can come with my knowledge and skill set and say, okay, don't worry about that. At Strike, I hired over 80 people. And then it's time saved that he can, use to go do something that I never will be as good on stage as Jack Mallers is. So that's just, I can be different, but that El Salvador presentation and moment, everyone saw that was absolutely from deepest part of his being. And he has a way of presenting, so you just can't do that. So that's where I really encourage people to go, is you find what's really your biggest strengths, like what are your biggest strengths, and then double down, focus on that. Do not compete with others. If you go in hierarchical structures, as long as you see that 51% of the time those structures support you, because it can be even like because they need to support themselves, good. But as soon as you see that whatever structure you're part of is no longer, doesn't care at all whether it gives back to you, then it's part of the structure. You need to leave that structure. And yeah, hope this was helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Startups are a very interesting beast, and then I'm sure Bitcoin brings its own complexities to them. It's kind of maybe speaking about startups, but I'd like to kind of talk about Lightning. How excited are you about Lightning?
I mean, you can say I'm thrilled.
I maybe didn't phrase that, but like,
no. I when I saw how Lightning is growing, I was the one to really push for a Lightning in a BTCPay server. So I implemented LND. That's Lightning Labs' implementation of Lightning Protocol. And this is what's behind the relationship between me and Elizabeth Stark, is because I back then was really pushing for LND, and I still am pushing, but now so many other people are pushing for LND because Lightning Labs is almost like Google of Bitcoin in a weird way. But yeah, I always saw that settlement is it's the superpower of Lightning, because settlement with Bitcoin on chain, you need to wait 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever is enough proof of work. And then, okay, it's settled. It's not instant. With Lightning, it is instant, and it just works so fast. However, I always saw that with Lightning, the problem is channels, liquidity. all the infrastructure that needs to be created in order for people, regular people, to transact on top of that network. And that is now happening with eCash. And it's really weird because with a lot of hard problems, you end up having this pattern of the problem was not solved because it required layers. And people were trying to just solve the problem. So with eCash, we thought, yeah, Bitcoin is the solution, until network became so popular that it's like fees to send those transactions are super high, not affordable for a lot of populations. What we were missing is that we don't only need that layer, but we need a layer of Lightning. And now on top of that layer of Lightning is where actual peer-to-peer electronic cash will operate for most people that are getting onboarded. Now, will we go in the direction of monetary maximalism and ossification so that we get that all the way to layer 0? Good question. But thanks to Lightning, we now have, a layer on which we can build new technologies on, and not only eCash, stablecoins. That was a big thing of Plan B in El Salvador, the announcement that USDT is coming back on Bitcoin. It started on Bitcoin but needed to go on other chains. Now you can have that on top of Lightning and available for anyone in the world, instead of having your money in local currency that's inflating compared to dollar. Just get dollars on Lightning and you're good.
How is that good for layer 1 Bitcoin from a Bitcoiner perspective? Why would Bitcoiners want stable coins on Lightning?
Your mission: build the blockchain, stack sats, and resist surveillance. You'll need strategy, stealth, and a little luck. Welcome to Blockhunters.
Built by Bitcoiners, backed by the community. Blockhunters learn Bitcoin by playing.
We played it at family night and everyone loved it. Finally, a game that gets Bitcoin.
Ready to orange pill the fun way? Head to blockhunters.com and use the code BTCMatrix for 10% off your order.
Because anything that's on top of a Lightning, you need to keep in mind that people operating Lightning nodes, they need to lock Bitcoin for those channels. That, if you and me, we want to send sats back and forth, we need to lock certain amount of Bitcoin in the channel. And then if it's 1 Bitcoin, I have 0.5 Bitcoin, you have 0.5 Bitcoin. Now we're forced to hodl. That's it. And then if you send 0.5 Bitcoin all the way to me, now if you want to send more, I need to rebalance that channel. So Bitcoin is getting extra used, but Bitcoin is hodled. There is 1 Bitcoin now that's locked, and it won't be sold for USD. Now for USDT stablecoins, it's slightly different with those 1 channel per asset. But again, I look at it from the perspective of Lightning will always depend on Bitcoin. So eCash, in eCash, you're again locking Bitcoin. It works on top of sats. It's not some kind of synthetic asset, fiat asset. Yeah.
I see how, I think stable coins are somewhat favorable to fiat. And I think stable coins is a misnomer for, fiat, which is not stable, and or CBDCs. But let's say BlackRock wants to tokenize the world. And so they want to use sats to run the tokens on Lightning Network. So they have to lock up some sats to run all the tokens on the Lightning Network. So it doesn't seem like it's a major negative sort of absolute consequence on Bitcoin. If anything, it's a positive absolute consequence on Bitcoin in terms of usage of more sats than less sats. But like, I feel like we're rolling out the red carpet in some ways for some not so great things to happen on the network. And Bitcoin is for everyone. It's for enemies. It's not, I'm really of split mind on that.
Yeah, let's unpack that, because you're right, and I'm the team. Bitcoin is for anyone, but not everyone. You actually need to make an effort. It's not that you change Bitcoin; Bitcoin changes you, and that's what I see happening to BlackRock and everyone else that's investing in Bitcoin now. Will there be a fiat part of Bitcoin where people are exclusively on some kind of fiat stable coin? I think yes. Tether has over 400 million people using Tether. So do we want all those people on Bitcoin? Yes. Do those people want to get into Bitcoin? No, because they don't want the volatility of Bitcoin. For them, it's like, if my savings go down 20% in next month, like I'm out. Or what do you mean I need to wait 60 minutes for transaction confirmation? I'll just say, hey, Justin Tron, help me out, man. And he's like, yes, instant transactions on blockchain. So unfortunately, a lot of, well, not a lot, but there is a group of Bitcoiners that take pride in being hardcore. And they're also, a lot of them are captured in their own ego. They're like, oh, I'm so pure. Everyone else needs to be as pure as I am in my own eyes. While they don't see that a lot of people, they can't afford their purity, or some people just see them as autistic, but we won't go there. It's like, hey, let's be practical here. There is no future in which we will get 100% ideal. Everyone is on Bitcoin. Everyone is running a node, Lightning node, manages their channel. Like, we will not get that. Let's instead ensure that we are moving in the direction where maximum percentage of population has agency. We are not in some kind of XRP, CBDC, circle, USDC future, where your every financial transaction is visible, tied to your ID. So let's not go and there. Will there be a percentage of population that will be trapped in that prison? Yes, absolutely. Like, people will be in that paradigm. But let's ensure that whoever wants to opt out and exit that paradigm and get to no KYC Bitcoin, like, hey, I have certain amount of wealth, I will pay taxes, I will, contribute to group projects, just I have agency. Like, and allow that for maximum percentage of population. Like, I think we should go in that direction and enable that future, rather than get lost in the whole who is more pure, are you running a node type of conversations.
Well, you mentioned KYC-free Bitcoin. And I mean, can we have real privacy without KYC-free Bitcoin?
Nope. No, you're right. If all your UTXOs are tied to your government ID, then every single person in the world knows how much Bitcoin you hold. And not only that, but it can track all of your transactions.
And do you think we'll have enough people in the world I mean, do you think there'll be KYC free Bitcoin, just maybe smaller pockets, smaller circular economies?
I think that's one of the geniuses of Satoshi. There will forever be more no KYC Bitcoin than KYC Bitcoin. Like if you look, Sailor now has over 500,000 Bitcoin. I mean, Coinbase has them, but Sailor has IOU. But yeah, that's 500,000 Bitcoin trapped in KYC paradigm. But the great thing also is Bitcoin is fungible. Like all we need is North Korean hackers to hack Coinbase, and suddenly that Bitcoin becomes no KYC. Now, it's more complex than that, right? Like what's the consequence of hack like the one happening on Ethereum happening on Bitcoin? We can debate what would happen with fiat rate, but thanks to Satoshi's genius, issuance rate was such that a vast majority of Bitcoin was mined way before politicians, wealthy people were interested in that. Like everyone also has that. Why are there not more women in Bitcoin? Why do you guys hate women? It's just women were looking at guys that were doing Bitcoin stuff in 2010 and it's like, look at this idiot. He's wasting his life. Yeah. I got to break up with him. So women are risk averse on average. So again, politicians, practical people, all of them, they were not interested in Bitcoin. And luckily it was like that. So it ensured that majority of Bitcoin will always be no KYC.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to hear that. I didn't think about what is KYC free and KYC now, but I think it seems like to me directionally like it's all going towards KYC'd Bitcoin. The ETFs are just pulling it all in.
The no KYC Bitcoin is the real Bitcoin. Whenever I say Bitcoin, I mean KYC free.
I mean, but even most Americans are buying their Bitcoin on Coinbase, River, Swan. This is not KYC free. It's interesting to hear that all Bitcoin can be rescued and re-KYC freed, which is nice to hear. It's just I feel like we're going to be in a world where 99.99% of Bitcoin is KYC. And I say that in the sense that, like, the national government just said this is a strategic reserve asset. So I'm starting to see it as like, people are going to start saying, you can't hold Bitcoin. That's institutional grade. That's a strategic reserve. You have to be patriotic, and you actually, it's like the way some people see having a gun. Like, you can't have Bitcoin in your house. Like, you can't secure it. You need the government to secure it. And they'll give you a piece of paper that says you can always redeem it until the day they say you can't redeem it. And it all 99,999 just ends up in these pools. And on one hand, it's great. The ETFs kind of, destroy unit price bias because you could buy a share, and it gets Bitcoin into every American's 401ks, which decentralized Bitcoin in a way, but it's, it's not real Bitcoin. It's an IOU for KYC Bitcoin at best. So I'm not as optimistic about a KYC free world. I feel like you're going to have to go to like,
Cedric, everything that you said is super optimistic. You need to rewatch this part. Like, this is beautiful because those people, more power to them. Is like, yeah. Like, just go buy ETF. Absolutely. No, you believe in that. You want the daddy government to hold it for you. No, go for it, because eventually all those people will come to the same conclusion that you and me have came. They will be like, I want to take ownership of my life, my net worth. Now, disclaimer, I have 0 Bitcoin, but I see that everyone will take ownership of their life, money, identity. And that's really where we can maybe go in talking about sovereign individuals, because people we'll go in that direction. And then in the meantime, if they believe in, oh, I want to store it in ETF, store it in ETF. I actually like that, because people don't need to be forced to learn how to have hardware wallets, how to secure seed phrases. So it's just that, again, some Bitcoiners are worried. I am not, because there will always be more than 10 million of no KYC Bitcoin, the real Bitcoin, and then this KYC coin that's held. As soon as those sats flow from those that have them to those that don't have Bitcoin or have less, that's where we will see liberation of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'm just going to do the cynical, pessimistic thing. So you have you're a cypherpunk, but you have no Bitcoin, right? I'm maybe half the cypherpunk you are, and I have no Bitcoin, right? But somewhere out there, there's a cypherpunk, twice, 10 times what you are, right? And that's a lot, because you're up there, right? So now you have this cypherpunk. He's like, I'm hardcore. I got my KYC for Bitcoin. I have enough to be financially independent. So you can have a lot of people who are just like, I just want financial independence. Bitcoin only means to me what my ETF numbers go up, my retirement accounts, whatever. But you have this hardcore Bitcoiner. He's a cypherpunk. He's 10x you in terms of how cypherpunk he is. He lives this great life. He has 4 kids, and he leaves them a lot of Bitcoin, let's say, a lot in relative terms. It doesn't have to be like a lot, like dozens, whatever it is, right? And he leaves them some Bitcoin, and they're like, hey, we didn't work that hard for this Bitcoin, and then maybe they keep the Bitcoin, but maybe their children are like, we didn't read. And I relate this to say something like Kurt Cobain, and I'm not trying to get into conspiracy theories.
So what are they doing? They're taking this no KYC Bitcoin. They're like, daddy government, please hold this.
Yeah, even look at Kurt Cobain, right? If you think Kurt Cobain wrote this music to be anti anything or certain ethos, and he's like, I would never sell my music to be in a Hyundai commercial because that's just not what I'm about. And then he dies, and his wife sells the catalog for $50 million, which is generational wealth for the Cobains. But now they put that music in Kia commercials and completely go against what maybe Kurt had hoped for. And maybe that cypherpunk dies with the children, maybe, if they're like, hey, we could just give this Bitcoin to the government and go spend it, buy houses, go, you know what I mean? We don't have to hold it.
I think it's way more likely that some Kardashian chick is going to scam, the little kid out of daddy's Bitcoin than government. But I don't know. I'm just not worried from my perspective, because that's cypherpunk that you are mentioning is not having 100 Bitcoin or 1,000. These are people that have 10,000 Bitcoin, 100,000 Bitcoin. There are people with that. It's just they have been so good with their privacy, and then some of them weren't. But good luck, say, getting a hold of Vences Caceres, right? Zappo. It's that type of people. I believe also in their estate planning, and I'm sure they will be. I believe in their judgment. On the other hand, didn't Saylor say that his Bitcoin dies with him? We will have KYC coins taken off the circulation. And then whoever picks it up, I don't think, if it happens, I don't know, quantum cracking of Bitcoin, which is all the rage, which is hilarious. But let's just say, for purposes of this conversation, someone else gains control of those coins when Saylor is dead. That person will not KYC. So.
You mentioned, you wrote, the only positive outcome I see is to kill your identity while you're ahead. If you've received enough through your contributions to comfortably leave, absolutely do that. Even staying in touch with a few trusted people isn't advisable, as professional doxers can exploit those connections and twist information. Are you going to disappear someday? Your persona that we know of?
We all are going to disappear someday. I've came to conclusion that what I'm doing with this identity is, it's kind of mini life. I've been around for 8 years, and then do I get 10 years, 12 years, cat or dog years, and then it's done. It's really resembles a life, because in life that's what we do, is that we do stuff and hopefully we get to some point of peace, that we have set our affairs in order, our relationships. We've done what we were supposed to do, what we wanted to do, and now we are again at peace and can let go on to afterlife. So yeah, what you read, I'm going in that direction, walking towards truth, walking towards God, and hopefully inspiring others to do the same, because you finish this life of this identity, and if you forgot something you have, try to, but get it done and move on.
Yeah, I know Joe Burnett has, talked about, killing his identity at some point, just going dark. I really value and love that idea. I definitely didn't start the pod to be out there. It's interesting. Even like something you mentioned about, everything's kind of like either one of your personalities, or I would say, a sliver of yourself, which it's really just people don't get to grasp the entire you. Like on X, like once in a while I'll be on X and I'll look at someone's response and I'll notice they're blocked me. I'm like, why did this motherfucker block me? But then I think to myself, I'd block me, like I don't blame him, but I just want to know why. But it's such a, I think like they're representations of yourself, and even no matter how truthful they are, how much integrity you put into these representations, they're not your entire self, and you're constantly changing, and it's only, you can only put such one facet forward on some of these like two-dimensional surfaces. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, but it's what you're saying is even within you, identities arise, and then it's beautiful if you can afford to really go into exploring an identity that's an interest. You always wanted to go and explore Southeast Asia. Hey, that can be an identity where you go and you really focus on that for a year or two of your life, and you really accomplish everything that you want to accomplish there. And then either you expand your identity into that, or you need to create a closed circle, like close the circle, get done with everything you're supposed to do, and then move on. So, because there is always something to explore, as you're saying, like, why did this person block me? Why did this person that I helped so much didn't give back, but invented a lie to not give back? Why there was this opportunity, I wanted to do it, the others didn't want to do it? Why? There are so many why questions, and we have a limited time, so let's focus on the most important questions we have, that we feel, and then we will actually get those answers, but we can't get all the answers.
Yeah, you wrote, anything else feeds into the fiat clown world we're part of. Satoshi really did it well. Contributed, gave it all away, and then quit while he was ahead. Despite this perfection, there are still idiots out there saying things like, if you meet Satoshi on the road, kill him. This just shows how power hungry and programmed for competition most people are. Plan for that and protect your privacy. I never really heard people say that, to be honest. But what is, like, why is that reaction? Like, because they would hurt Bitcoin if they found him alive?
I mean, I think they would hurt themselves. And then there is also the whole Zen Buddhist signaling part, where people want to signal that they have found peace by knowing where the saying comes from. And I think it's simply disrespectful and stupid in a way. Is like, just if someone is your hero and you get to meet that person and that person disappoints you. Okay. You will find another hero, but that also doesn't impact the work that that specific person produced. The proof of work stays on its own. So it's more about relationship power dynamics, and it's one of the things that triggers me because I am admirer of Satoshi. So funny, yeah. In the end, it doesn't have anything to do with Satoshi from any side. Like, we're all just getting out our frustrations.
I don't know. You might be in a similar situation to me where, like, do you have maybe distinct multiple sort of worlds where some people don't know that you're uncle and they know you as Bob? And
yeah, Bob the neighbor. Yeah. No, I'm telling you, man, I see that this will just keep growing because, especially now with AI, we will just have more and more and more and more information. And that information is going to put a strain on more and more people. And the way that people will be able to function is by separating their identities and classifying that information. Like, I have got 40 emails today, says the person. It's like, there is no way I can keep up with my inbox unless someone asks me, like, oh, let's do something work related. You're like, okay, this is the inbox, send it there. So that for your private life, if you're emailed by your kid, it's okay, this is a priority. And it's how it is. I hope that people who are struggling with stress in life and are listening to this podcast, they do go in the direction of, I will have an identity for work. And okay, they don't need to go like, I'll be called Superstar Bob in this identity. They can be just Bob Johnson, but they do that and then see how, now that they have structured the information flow, their life becomes easier, richer. They can segment the time in their day. Like, okay, this is the time for Superstar Bob. I get this done, then I can relax. And man, we can talk about this for hours, especially because I see that through all the identity expression through the prism of sexuality. Like, that really frustrates me as well. Is like when people are into identities, but they go so shallow that they sexualize it or go with, oh, my pronouns are XY. Because with pronouns talk, I always tell people, especially in the US and English speakers, there is the concept of formally addressing someone. And it's been recognized in vast majority of languages. Like in Spanish, if someone is your senior and you need to address them with respect, there is a way to do that. In English, there is no way. So pronouns were invented. And now it's not even how I address you. It's about how you and me talk about third person. So yes to identities, no to, shallow solutions and band-aids.
Speaking of identities, there was a tweet by Robert Sterling I want to read. I think it speaks a lot to what we kind of are trying to get around with Bitcoin and work. But Robert Sterling wrote, the most bitter people you'll ever meet are white-collar workers in their late 30s who took gifted classes in elementary school and AP classes in high school, got 3.8 GPAs in college, and now make 150 to 200K in corporate middle management jobs after failing to develop the personality or the social skills requisite for leadership and authority. These people spent their entire childhoods getting told they were very smart and very special, that they would one day rise through the ranks of the professional managerial class, inherit the earth, and have dominion over the jocks who tormented them and the cheerleaders who denied them. only to wake up one day at the cusp of 40 and find themselves working in a fluorescent lit office park in suburban America, earning a salary good enough to get trapped in an expensive lifestyle but not sufficient to ever feel successful. 8 layers deep in a corporate hierarchy and still 10 years away from having any decision-making power in their organization, if ever. Rather than being a master of the universe, they spend their days attending stand-up meetings and HR seminars, thumbing through Microsoft Teams alerts while sitting in traffic and moving text boxes around PowerPoint decks ahead of their boss's meeting with the new private equity owner flying in from Greenwich, Connecticut on a G550 for the afternoon. Meanwhile, enough of their contemporaries have gotten rich by now, many of them backslapping frat guys or sorority woo girls who got 2.7s in college but learned how to win friends, influence people, and most importantly, close deals. That they have started to realize everything the gatekeepers of the institutional world told them between kindergarten and their first post-college entry-level job was utterly fraudulent. Rather than designing the machine or pulling the levers of the machine, they are the pulp fed into the machine each day. Victims of an assembly line owned and operated by people less intelligent than them, less worthy than them, who somehow escaped the conveyor belt despite their inferior brains and lower test scores. It's not what they were promised all their lives. It doesn't add up, and it's not fair. These people are too young to think about retiring, yet too old to think about making a change. They feel stuck and frustrated, and it's everyone's fault but their own. And I think that's a really, I think it hits hard because it's spot on. And I think that speaks to a lot of people aren't, maybe the highfalutin people they wanted to be in their lives at these jobs. And they also know the work is meaningless because 7 people are going to not look at it during the weekend while they hustle to get it done on Friday for people who are just going to say, well, let's go in a different direction on Monday. And it's just...
Did you experience that a lot in your line of work?
110%. You can be in a meeting and you know that you're going to be spending the next 3 months of your life busting your hump on some project that the real decision maker is going to say, I just got this job yesterday and I'm not really interested in this project. So do you think we can go in a different direction? And what you just gave up for months, family time and whatnot to maybe get a 3.4% raise at the end of the year and have management tell you that that's, you're a 5 out of 5. So you get the 3% raise, whereas the 4 out of 5 got a 2.75 and the 3's got the 2.5. So then you're like, okay, I make 200 grand a year or 100, let's make it easy math, 100 grand a year. So I literally just busted my ass for 25 basis points. And I'm not keeping up. Like I remember getting a bonus my very first year at the Big Four CPA, EY. They gave me a bonus of about like $200 after my first year. That was like my performance bonus. And that was in addition to my raise or something, and I got like 4 out of 5 stars. And I was like, oh, that's great. I can get those groceries this week I've been dreaming about, after taxes. And nowadays I can't even get groceries for my family with that bonus. But,
yeah. But it's a great story. That's what you also got.
Yeah, no, this is true. This is true. But I remember having, there would be days early in my career where at an 8-hour day or a 14-hour day, I maybe worked 3-4 hours. I had that much to get done. We were going to bill for 12 hours no matter what, because that was the contractual agreement. This whole projects are agreed upon. You're going to work 50 hours a week. No, we're just going to bill 50 hours a week. We're going to work 35, 40, 45. Whatever you allow me to bill is what I'll bill on top of that. But I think I read every interview George Lucas gave, in over 3 months. I would just spend about 4 hours a day reading every interview he gave. It was in this compendium of interviews or whatever. But my point is that there's so much dead time. And when you're young, you kind of have time to kill. But then you start aging through that and you realize your work is meaningless, and you have less time maybe to kill. Maybe you shouldn't have been killing time when you're young and wasting it.
I look at it from the perspective of agency always, whether you have agency or not. But what's quite interesting to me as you were talking about this is pay attention to the whole, you're billing 50 hours regardless of what you do. So you're part of a system that's built on lie. And then you can put any kind of improvements on top of that system, but the fact remains is that the build, build time what you're charging someone is not what you're actually doing. So that naturally gives rise to people like, who's going to run that system? It won't be a person that's like, hey, we're billing our customers more than we should. Let's bill them less and let's be more efficient. Let's only do meaningful work.
It just leads to rent seeking, where every job seeker is like, I want to get the job that I get to work 5 hours a week and manage people and rent seek on their time. So it just builds this whole cottage industry. I'd go to meetings to fix an Excel report and 17 people would show up. Yeah. And be like, what? They'd say, what's the report problem? What's the problem with the report, sir? I'd be like, well, we're trying to calculate premiums and the subtotal doesn't work here. And they'd say, okay, well, let's write a 3-page memo on how to fix the subtotal. And then like 6 weeks later, the new report would come and it still wouldn't subtotal right. And I was like, how did you spend 6 weeks working on this in IT? You didn't Q&A before you sent me. And I could have fixed, and it's all rent seeking. It's like, we're going to send 16 people to the meeting because the third party that's the consulting agency is like, we send 16 people to every meeting and you're going to get billed for it. And everyone's just sitting there like, this doesn't take 16 people, like sitting around here, like we're spending more time talking about it. I remember I lost an ID to get between offices, one of those like cards. And I went to IT, I was like, hey, we lost our card. And they're like, I don't know if we're going to give you a card. Look, we're consultants. We work for public accounting. We have to come in here. We need the card. And they're like, well, we think we're going to charge you like $300 for the card. And we're like, it's $900 for you to talk to us about it right now because we're each charging $450 an hour. So like, why don't you just print up the card, buddy? And everyone is like I remember we wanted to get a printer on site, and our own corporation wanted to charge us like $400 a month to rent a printer from Ernst & Young when I could have went downstairs from Office Mags and bought one for like $200 and owned it outright. But this is all the rent seeking in the system, which leads to everyone having miserable lives because it's meaningless.
Well, miserable. I mean, those consulting rates.
When you're on the highway trying to answer emails because your boss sent you something at 7:30 at night, and you're answering an email that doesn't matter, but like you want that 3% raise instead of 2.7. Like, there's a level of meaningless to this.
Yeah, but see, like you are answering that email in the evening because you hope that your boss will recognize that. What you could have done is wrote that email and just set the timer so that it's sent at 2 a.m. Right? But again, I'm now joking because this is on my bucket list, Cedric. Like I'm just gonna go to my private identity. I'll change name because I just need the separate identity. And I'll use my network so that I get mid-management job at some consulting firm, and I will be the best at it. I will smile in all the meetings. I'll be
you don't need it. You got coffee made after you.
Yeah.
Rockstar Coffee. I'm going to get to that Cafe de El Salvador specialty coffee.
And as soon as people figure out my previous identity, they're like, "Are you this guy?" I'll be like, "Okay, I'm quitting." Like, giving my resignation. No, life is really what you make out of it, is because what you're describing it's a rat race. That's what it is. And I was also a developer in those situations, because if you're a developer and you go and you fix that subtotal and you deploy it to production, what's coming up is a meeting with your CTO and legal that you haven't followed the process that legal and compliance has put in place, and you have endangered, like, did you access the database of customers?
My very first day at a Fortune 20 company as a consultant, I show up and I get my ID card, it's gonna get me in every office, and my name is spelled wrong, L-E instead of E-L. No, actually, they forgot the N, Youngelman. So I okay, go to the guy who issues the laptop and everything else. And I say, hey, my name is spelled wrong. His first question was like, did you spell it wrong on your paperwork? I said, do you really think I was the one who spelled my name wrong? He said, well, I'm not sure. Let's check, right? So we had to spend a half hour looking for a piece of paper that I spelled my name correctly on, obviously. So then he realized, okay, someone spelled it wrong and sent it to everyone. Right now, every system in this organization was independently managed. So everyone got my ID, but everyone entered me as Youngelman in their system. So we couldn't change it until one day they mistakenly erased me from their system one day. And this is the kind of stuff that happens, like HR is like, you've been here for too long. And, everyone else is like, no, he's on a special project. We can't get rid of him. And then like HR is like, oh, tell IT to like delete him from the system. I wake up, I'm like, I can't log in. So I'm like, we need to like, fix everything. And they're like, we're going to have to like issue a new ID and everything. So I was like, can I be Youngelman now? And they're like, no, sir, we cannot change your last name. You get to be Youngelman 1. So we can add a numeral to your name. We can't add an N, sir. We couldn't fix the problem then. And then they're also the kind of organization that one day, they have 30,000 consultants, and the new CFO says, hey, we got to make quarterly earnings in 3 weeks. We're going to fire every consultant globally, and we're going to wake up on Monday morning and find out that the people who run the customer service desk for the UK are American consultants, and we'll just fix all the problems that scream the hardest. It is a fascinating world. 0-8, and it's hard, but it's hard to be someone in that world who craves sovereignty, right? Who says like, oh, this would take me 4 hours to do. Why can't I do it from 6 to 10 instead of from 3 to 7? Oh, because I have this boss who wants it done by 4, who's not going to look at it. And you just feel like you have no autonomy, no sovereignty. That's as a Bitcoiner, I think, a difficult place to be.
I think in this podcast of ours conversation, we already gave antidote to that. It's what I told about me starting to work with Nicholas or starting to work with Mallers. For each one of us, we need to find people with whom we want to work. We work for, we work together for 6 months, and then you see, like, do you feel good? Does that other person feel good? Maybe that other person thought you're someone who you're not. And now you have period of discovery, and like, I want to work in this group or I don't want to work in this group. Like, and then people and relationships also get spent. You work with people you love for 5 years, and then you're like, okay, I need different faces around me. The great thing, Cedric, is that in the end, it doesn't matter at all. AI will take over in next 10 years, and we will be in the world that's run by AI. I mean, we already live in that world, because you just look at what most people post online. It's already dictated by AI algorithms, or you pick up piece of content that's most viral, and that's where all the attention goes. People will not be like, oh, I can listen to this, but is it Kim Kardashian? Oh no, then like whatever Kim Kardashian says, that's what I listen to. So that's a silver lining to all you workers stuck in those rat races. Put a smile on your face, go to all the company offsites. You're like, absolutely, thrilled. Let's go this quarter. This is our quarter. Participate in all of that. And then if you're a developer, just get another job. And, there were like developers that were stacking like 5 jobs and just joining those meetings with camera and microphone off. And they get the request to do that subtotal. Just don't try to do it the right way. You're like, yes, I'm going to do this feature. It's going to take 2 months. And if the biggest stakeholder is behind you, you're good.
I guess my final question for you would be, how has Bitcoin changed you, or what has it given you, besides, financial freedom? How would you kind of describe that?
It has given me everything. Like, everything that I wanted. I now look, and it's there. It's just whether I've took it or not. And because some things in life you dream of doing, because dreaming about pleasure is pleasure in itself. But once you can travel and live in Silicon Valley and do a startup there, like I can do it now, there's no way I'm gonna do it. I just don't have that level of energy. And in my other interview that came out today, I was joking about how much I hate San Francisco and Silicon Valley and what they've done. So yeah, Bitcoin has given me everything, but I see it's because I have given my full self to Bitcoin. I have created an identity for Bitcoin. So, and I was lucky again to be accepted and supported by people in Bitcoin that I worked with, then the people I haven't worked with, but they have followed my X profile or Nostr profile. One of my favorite things is whenever I go to conferences and I meet some kind of VC that manages $1 billion fund. They're like, Rockstar, I followed you for 5 years. It's great to meet in person. It's like, I wish I can do that. And I tell them, like, well, you can do it. You can open an X account. They're like, no. They would find out, and then I wouldn't be able to run my fund. So yeah, that I would go with that message, is just say, as much as you contribute to Bitcoin, Bitcoin will contribute to you. Use that, especially as we're part of a rising wave. And then if you think you're too late to Bitcoin, go to AI or whatever is a great trend. But whatever you do, create an identity, contribute, and you give and you will be given back.
I love that. What would you say to some? I mean, there's got to be a lot of people. I would put myself who dream about being there in quotes. And I think a lot of people wonder, like, what does it mean to be there? Like, how do you know you're there? And what does it mean? Like, maybe for some people, they have a number, right? And they're like, I got there, and then like the next day Bitcoin drops 10 or 20%. They're not there, right? Are they still there? Are they there? Were you always there? It's like once you get somewhere, you can't really remember not having that experience or perspective, and you kind of feel like maybe I was always here. I mean, and maybe there is no there.
Well, we are always there, right? Speaking philosophically and truthfully, like, we're always there. It's just, are you doing the things that move needles that are important to you? Because if the focus is certain, number on the screen, it's like, why? So that I can do this. Okay, then go and do that. You really focus on it. Oh, but you're like, oh, but I want to do it with this person. Then talk with that person and get that person on board to commit to 10 hours with you weekly. But I think for most people, again, it's just the way it's in your head is not how it actually is. And this is why you need to find other people who you trust enough and they can tell you the truth so that you course correct. Like I thought I know everything and this and that, and then this is a mistake, until I started working with Nicholas. And then I open a pull request. I think code is perfect. He's like, no. And previously I would argue with a person, and is that now I put time lock in this 6 months. I will always be productively participating in conversation. If he overrules and we go in this direction, I go in that direction. There is something will happen. And get into that mode. I mean, and soon enough you'll see just number is going up, it's going down. You don't care. Just you're having fun.
Dude, this has been so dope. I appreciate this so much. Thank you for spending the time. I'll leave it to you for any parting words and let people know where they can find you on X.
You can find me, you just search Uncle Rockstar Developer or Uncle Rockstar, and you will find me. And If you have any questions, leave them in comments of this video. We're going to answer them together, me and Cedric.
There you go. Thank you so much. It's been so dope, Rockstar.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Bitcoin Matrix. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below with any questions or thoughts you may have. We'd love to hear from you. You can support the show by checking out our sponsors and affiliate links in the description. It helps keep bringing you great content while connecting you with awesome products that I believe in. Share this episodes with your friends, family, or anyone curious about Bitcoin. And let's keep growing this community together. Stay curious, keep stacking, and I'll catch you in the next one.